Hello and welcome. Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Gautam Roy, and coming up over the next hour, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi participates in Constitution Day celebrations, says India's constitution has lived up to every expectation and need of the country. The 26th of November 2024 marks the 16th anniversary of the 26/11 terror attacks. Prime Minister Modi vows to give a decisive response to all security challenges against the nation. PTI supporters enter the red zone in Islamabad after clashes with security personnel. The army issues shoot-at-sight orders. And India tells Bangladesh to ensure the safety and security of all minorities after denial of bail in Chittagong to a Hindu religious leader protesting atrocities against minorities. India's western neighbour Pakistan and its capital Islamabad has been the epicenter of unrest all day today as thousands of supporters of jail leader Imran Khan clashed violently with security forces. The protests have led to 6 or 7 deaths and prompted the deployment of the Pakistani army. Amid all this unrest, the former Pakistani Prime Minister has issued a statement from jail urging his supporters to keep fighting till the end.
The violent protests in Pakistan by the supporters of former Prime Minister and Chief of Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, Imran Khan, has led to a serious turmoil in the country. PTI supporters entered red zone area in Islamabad after clashes with security personnel. At least 6 people, including 4 paramilitary personnel and 2 policemen, have been killed and over 100 security personnel injured. Clashes broke out when protesters demanding the release of Imran Khan entered into capital Islamabad and dodged the efforts by Shehbaz Sharif's government to stop nationwide stir. Pakistan's Interior Minister said that security forces were showing restraint with protesters.
It is easy for us to respond a bullet with a bullet. Rangers will open fire and there will be no protesters there after 5 minutes. But we are saying restraint as their lives could be lost. They are our people, Pakistani people. But there is a line when you have to take decision because we have to protect our own people too.
The situation spiraling out of administrative control and prompted the government to deploy the army in the national capital along with shoot-at-sight orders. But here the question is what protesters are demanding. The first and foremost demand remains the release of their party supremo Imran Khan immediately. Second, PTI workers also demanding for fresh elections as they accuse the government of rigging the polls this year. And last but not the least, they have also demanded to reverse the constitutional amendments that have curtailed judicial powers. Former Prime Minister Imran Khan has alleged that the Pakistani government and the army have teamed up to destroy his party, whereas ruling government said that Khan has encouraged his party workers to organize violent protests. The country's capital has been locked down since late Saturday with mobile internet sporadically cut and more than 20,000 police personnel flooded the streets. The Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf founder and former Prime Minister Imran Khan has been in jail since August 2023 following a conviction in a corruption case. Khan was ousted in a parliamentary no-confidence vote in 2022 and he faces more than 150 criminal cases, which his followers claim are politically motivated. But these protests come at a sensitive time for Pakistan, which has seen a wave of sectarian violence, separatist militant attacks in recent months, and sluggish economy, which is now under reform program managed by the International Monetary Fund. Aman Kumar Himanshu's report for DD India.
Now, to get an assessment of what's happening in Pakistan and what could be in store, we have with us Arvind Gupta, former Deputy National Security Advisor and Director, Vivekanand International Foundation. Good evening to you, Mr. Gupta. What do you make of what's happening this time around in Islamabad? Again, we have PTI protesters taking to streets in the capital, storming the red zone as well. But do you think this is something that will be a fight to the finish, as Imran Khan has urged them to carry on?
Well, Imran Khan has said to his supporters that this is the final call. So if it is a final call, we'll have to see how many people come on the streets. Right now, I think a lot of people that have come are from Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. In Punjab, they have taken some steps to block people from coming. One doesn't know how many people are going to join. But whatever it is, I think it's a fairly serious situation, as can be seen by the arrangements being done by the Pakistani side, deployment of the army, and shoot-at-sight orders, etc. So they are taking no chances. But the situation can become worse if there are clashes and if some people are killed. Then I think it will take a different turn. So Imran is now in a...
7 people have been killed already, sir, including policemen.
That's right. So Imran is in some kind of a do or die battle with the establishment. And this he has been waging since he was arrested in August 23. And he still has a lot of support, as can be seen from the number of protesters who gather. Similar protests were there in October also, though they didn't go up this far. This time they've gone to D Chowk and entered the red zone. So this will, I think, continue. But on the other side, I think the government is also well prepared. And it's not going to be easy for the supporters to get the demands accepted.
Right. And so far, the protesters have managed to squat in front of Parliament. They have got into D Square, Democracy Square as well, going over the containers that have been put across. Do you think that as you said, the security forces, including the police and the army, they have a grip on the situation, or could it go out of hand as well?
I think the fact that 7 people have been killed, which means the situation can go out of control and the protests can turn violent. If that happens, that will be a very serious situation both for the government as well as for the PTI. Because PTI is already has that, under the cloud of May 9th incidents from which they are trying to distance themselves. But that's why the PTI leaders have been telling their supporters to maintain calm and peace. But things can certainly go out of control. It is a serious situation.
Yes, because the situation is quite unpredictable. There are reports of even media contingents being attacked by the protesters and coming under some sort of crossfire as well. But here's just one thought that I have, that if Imran Khan and his supporters want to take on the establishment, why are they storming the red zone in Islamabad? Shouldn't they be storming some other area in a different city which really controls Pakistan?
No, D Chowk, I think, is the most important place in Pakistan for protesters. Even the previous protests have been...
But sir, isn't it the army that runs the country?
Yeah, of course. It's the army which runs the country.
So wouldn't Rawalpindi be a better place to go and protest?
No, but Islamabad, you have the Supreme Court nearby, you have the Parliament nearby, you have all these establishment, the government secretariat, etc. nearby. So the government is all around that area. They are protesting there.
Yes, but do you think that there is some scope here, or any sort of a thought among the ruling establishment that this is something that should be negotiated instead of trying to come down hard on it with not just the police but the armed forces as well, which is what is happening right now?
No, some kind of negotiations have taken place. Yesterday also some negotiations took place. This morning also there were some negotiations. But these negotiations haven't succeeded. These negotiations seem to be only about it's shifting the venue of the protest to some other place, which they haven't agreed. But all these big issues of the release of Imran Khan and taking back the 26th Amendment, these are very big issues. These won't be discussed in this kind of negotiations. They are trying to diffuse the situation through negotiations, but that hasn't happened. And that is why some level of violence has taken place and the army has been deployed.
Well, let's see what happens next if they manage to diffuse the situation with the way they're trying to handle it right now, or if other means, perhaps more democratic, will have to be adopted to ensure that Pakistan does not completely descend into chaos. Thank you for joining us and talking about it, Mr. Gupta.
Thank you.
Now let's talk about India. The 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks shook the entire world. They reduced Pakistan to a pariah state and changed the relationship between India and its western neighbor forever. 16 years later, the wounds of the attacks, which claimed the lives of 166 innocents, still fester. DD India's Mihir Mekhri has more.
"16 years ago, on November 26, 2008, Mumbai faced one of its darkest days as coordinated terrorist attacks shook India's financial capital. The brutal assault left 166 people dead and over 300 injured. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid heartfelt tributes to the victims, vowing to give a decisive response to all security challenges against the nation.
साथियों, हम लोकतंत्र के इस महत्वपूर्ण पर्व का जब स्मरण कर रहे उस समय ये भी नहीं भूल सकते कि आज मुंबई में हुए आतंकी हमले की भी बरसी है। इस हमले में जिन व्यक्तियों का निधन हुआ उन्हें मैं अपनी श्रद्धांजलि देता हूं। मैं देश का ये संकल्प भी दोहराता हूं कि भारत की सुरक्षा को चुनौती देने वाले हर आतंकी संगठन को मुंह तोड़ जवाब दिया जाएगा।
On Tuesday, Maharashtra Governor C.P. Radhakrishnan, State's Caretaker Chief Minister Eknath Shinde, and other political leaders honored the martyrs with floral tributes at the Martyrs Memorial. Marking the somber occasion, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar reaffirmed India's resolve, stating, 26/11, never forget, never forgive. Now let's revisit the tragic events of 26/11 and India's resolute response to the attacks. On 26th of November 2008, 10 terrorists from Pakistan launched simultaneous attacks across Mumbai, killing and injuring hundreds. All the terrorists were members of Pakistan's terror outfit Lashkar-e-Toiba. The terrorists left Karachi, hijacked an Indian fishing boat, and infiltrated Mumbai via the sea. Key locations attacked included Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Terminus, Taj Hotel, among others. Ajmal Kasam, the lone surviving terrorist, was captured, tried and executed in November 2012. Nationals from 14 other countries were among the victims. Indian Army and Mumbai Police eliminated 9 terrorists, showcasing unparalleled bravery. Today, India pursues a zero-tolerance policy towards terrorism, which has significantly helped in eliminating terror attacks within the country. Mihir Mekhri's report for DD India.
Foreign ministers from the world's 7 leading industrialized nations met on Tuesday in central Italy for the second day of discussions on global issues. G7 foreign ministers expressed concern about Chinese trade practices and said it's leading to harmful overcapacity and market distortions. They also said that maintaining peace and stability across Taiwan is vital for international security. The G7 is an informal forum that brings together Italy, Canada, France, Germany, Japan, the UK as well as the US. BEML Limited, a company under the Ministry of Defence, and Mazagaon Dock Shipbuilders Limited have entered into a strategic memorandum of understanding in Delhi on Tuesday. The signing ceremony was attended by CMD of BEML and Director of MDL and senior officials from both the organizations. The MOU aims to advance research and development collaboration in cutting-edge technologies for marine applications. And still to come on DD India NewsHour. As part of Constitution Day celebrations, President Murmu releases a commemorative coin and a stamp. And world markets feel the tremors as US President-elect Donald Trump vows big tariff hikes against China, Canada and Mexico. Welcome back. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, the 26th of November is a historic day as well for India as the nation celebrates Constitution Day. In his address, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi hailed 75 years of India's Magna Carta, describing it as a lasting pillar of justice, equality and liberty. Tripti Tripathi brings us more.
It's a momentous day as India marks the Constitution Day at the Supreme Court in the national capital. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in his address to the nation, expressed pride in 75 years of Indian Constitution, a timeless foundation of justice, equality and liberty.
हमारे संविधान निर्माता ये जानते थे कि भारत की आकांक्षाएं, भारत के सपने समय के साथ नई ऊंचाई पर पहुंचेंगे। भारतीयों को त्वरित न्याय मिले, इसके लिए नई न्याय संहिता लागू की गई है। दंड आधारित व्यवस्था अब न्याय आधारित व्यवस्था में बदल चुकी है। महिलाओं की राजनीतिक भागीदारी बढ़ाने के लिए नारी शक्ति बंधन अधिनियम का ऐतिहासिक निर्णय हुआ है। हमने थर्ड जेंडर को उनकी पहचान और उनका हक दिलाने के लिए भी कदम उठाए हैं।
Prime Minister Narendra Modi paid tribute to the architects of India's constitution and highlighted its vital role in shaping modern India. Prime Minister Modi also said that for the first time in history, Constitution Day was celebrated in Jammu and Kashmir.
इसी कालखंड में आपातकाल जैसा समय भी आया और हमारे संविधान ने लोकतंत्र के सामने आई इस चुनौती का भी सामना किया। हमारा संविधान देश की हर जरूरत, हर अपेक्षा पर खरा उतरा है। संविधान से मिली इस शक्ति की वजह से ही आज जम्मू कश्मीर में भी बाबा साहब का संविधान पूरी तरह लागू हुआ है। आज वहां पहली बार संविधान दिवस मनाया गया है।
Prime Minister Modi reflected on the resilience of democracy and emphasized how Constitution has stood firm against such tests. To mark the occasion, Prime Minister Modi also released the annual report of the Indian judiciary. With Vikas Sarthi, Tripti Tripathi's report, DD India.
Well, as part of the Constitution Day celebrations, President Draupadi Murmu released a commemorative coin and stamp. To books, Making of the Constitution of India, A Glimpse, and Making of the Constitution of India and Its Glorious Journey were also unveiled. Additionally, a booklet dedicated to the art of the Indian Constitution was released, and a short film tracing the Constitution's making, historical importance and evolution was screened for the attendees as well. Maithili and Sanskrit versions of the Constitution's text were also released on the occasion. President Murmu also led the ceremonial reading of the preamble of the Constitution in the Central Hall of Parliament. And Indian embassies worldwide marked the 75th Constitution Day with solemn celebrations. In Sri Lanka, the preamble to the Constitution of India was read at the embassy, reaffirming the nation's commitment to its values and principles. In Japan, Ambassador Sibi George joined Team India and Friends of India in a collective reading of the preamble, symbolizing unity and shared ideals. And in Israel, Ambassador Sanjeev Singla led embassy officials in a reading of the preamble, highlighting India's constitutional spirit abroad. Well, as today marks the adoption of the Indian Constitution by the Constituent Assembly in 1949, it's a day that is a tribute to the framers of the document. Constitution Day is also known as Samvidhan Divas. More in this report.
Of the Constitution, we, the people of India, have solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among them all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. In our Constituent Assembly, this 26th day of November 1949, do hereby adopt, enact and give to ourselves this Constitution. 75 years ago, on 26th of November 1949, in the Central Hall of Parliament building, through the members of the Constituent Assembly, we the people of India adopted, enacted and gave to ourselves the Constitutions. The Constitution of India is enshrined as the foundation of the world's largest democracy. It is the supreme law within the framework of our democratic system, and it consistently guides us in our endeavors. The Constitution is both the source of our democratic governance system and a guiding force. We the people is an invitation, a pledge, a faith. This sentiment expressed in the Constitution is the original sentiment of India, which has been the mother of democracy in the world. This sentiment is also visible in the Republic of Vaishali and in the hymns of the Vedas. Our democracy resonates in our Constitution. Provisions have also been included to permit necessary amendments that satisfy future generations' needs in our endeavors in ensuring that the Constitution remains relevant over time.
This Constitution is flexible, and the beauty is this in the spirit, in the preamble. This Constitution is our pride, and I can say that this Constitution is the best Constitution, and it has superiority over other constitutions.
We have adopted the best practices from the constitutions of other countries. Moreover, the values of our ancient heritage and the ideals of our struggle for independence can also be seen in our Constitution. Our Constitution is for the people of India, by the people of India, and of the people of India. It is a national document that also reflects the democratic systems prevalent in our ancient Indian republics and other Buddhist communities.
It's a very wonderful, beautiful provision. If all countries could adopt Article 51C or its spirit and behaved accordingly in their relations with each other, we would have a much better world. Respect for international law, for example. It is the lack of respect for international law that is causing the conflicts and wars that are going on at the moment.
The people of India are worthy of congratulations for the values and respect that the Indian Constitution has earned over the past 75 years. Similarly, the three branches of the central and state governments, namely the legislature, the executive and the judiciary, are deserving of congratulations. Strengthening the relationship and coordination between the union and the states, India's journey towards cooperative federalism is a living example of the dynamism of our Constitution. Today, we have a great opportunity to express our gratitude to the architects of our Constitution who have provided for peaceful, revolutionary changes through constitutional amendments. It should be hoped that by being vigilant about this constitutional standard and living up to our constitutional ideas, we will succeed in establishing India as the ideal democracy in the world. Bureau Report, DD India.
US President-elect Donald Trump has pledged massive tariff hikes targeting Canada, Mexico and China on day one of taking office. He plans a 25% tariff on imports from Canada and Mexico to curb drugs and migrants, and an additional 10% tariff on Chinese imports. These measures could trigger trade wars and affect global supply chains, apart from impacting stock markets and other investments. Mail Mercury reports.
US President-elect Donald Trump on Monday outlined his plans to impose hefty tariffs on the nation's top trading partners, Canada, Mexico and China, fulfilling campaign promises that risk igniting trade wars once again. Trump announced a 25% tariff imports from Mexico and Canada as a priority action upon assuming office. He claimed that drugs, particularly fentanyl, were flooding into the US primarily via Mexico, while illegal immigration was also occurring through Canada. Trump further targeted China, proposing an additional 10% tariff over the country's alleged inaction on combating drug trafficking to the United States. He declared that tariffs would remain in place until Beijing curbs its involvement. China responded cautiously to Trump's tariff threats, emphasizing its willingness to maintain communication.
As a principle, we are open to maintaining dialogue and communication.
Trump's proposed tariffs could violate the US-Mexico-Canada agreement signed in 2020, which facilitates largely duty-free trade between the three nations. Notably, more than 83% of Mexico's exports and 75% of Canada's exports were destined for the US in 2023. China's economy, already strained by a prolonged property downturn, mounting debt risk and weak domestic demand, faces further vulnerability under Trump's proposed measures. The announcement sent ripples through global markets. While the US dollar strengthened, Chinese stocks dipped slightly and European shares fell on Tuesday. European leaders also voiced concern over Trump's tariff threats. German Economy Minister Robert Habeck urged a unified EU response to prevent a potential trade war, emphasizing the importance of diplomacy. All I know are Donald Trump's statements during his election campaign, and I therefore do not want to speculate how things will proceed. At the same time, last night's decision could indicate he is very serious. First, the EU must respond united to this and not tear itself apart into 2 or 3 blocks of countries, but speak as a united Europe. Second, we must make clear that ultimately everyone loses: the United States economic area and Europe. All eyes are now on Trump and how the situation unfolds for the world after he takes over the White House next year. Mihir Mekuri's report for DD India.
And let's now take a look at some other stories making news around the world as well. Well, gold and silver prices in Nepal dropped by 2,600 Nepalese rupees per tola and 25 rupees per tola respectively on Tuesday, following a sharp decline. This decrease comes after the government halved customs duty on gold imports from 20 to 10% and on silver imports from 15 to 10% to curb smuggling. The Bank of Spain unveiled 2 new portraits of the Spanish King Philippe and Queen Letizia, made by famous US photographer Annie Leibovitz on Tuesday. The paintings will be part of the Spanish Bank's art collection, which will be available for public display. The world's oldest man, John Tenniswood, has died in England at the age of 112. He was recognized by the Guinness Book of World Records as the world's oldest man in April 2024. A pod of more than 30 pilot whales were rescued on Tuesday after being stranded on a beach in northern New Zealand on Sunday. Whale stranding is an unexplained natural phenomenon, with New Zealand holding one of the world's highest rates of the event. And still to come on DD India NewsHour. Clashes erupt in Chittagong after Hindu religious leaders' arrest and denial of bail sparks outrage in Bangladesh.
geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India NewsHour. I'm Gautam Roy. And before we go any further, another look at our top stories. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi participates in Constitution Day celebrations, says India's constitution has lived up to every expectation and need of the country. Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf supporters entered a red zone area in Islamabad after clashes with security personnel. The army has issued shoot-at-sight orders. And India tells Bangladesh to ensure the safety and security of all minorities after denial of bail in Chittagong to an Indian religious leader protesting atrocities against minorities. There's turmoil in Bangladesh with protests in Chittagong and other cities over the arrest and denial of bail to Hindu religious leader Chinmoy Krishnadas. He was held on Monday on sedition charges after he had been leading agitation in India's neighbouring nation against atrocities perpetrated against Hindus and other minorities. India has given a sharp statement over the issue, urging the Bangladesh government to ensure the safety and security of Hindus and all minorities. Chaotic scenes outside a courthouse in Chittagong. The Bangladesh police lathi-charged and sound-bombed the supporters of arrested Sammilit Sanatani Jagaran Manch spokesperson Chinmoy Krishnadas Brahmachari. The police action took place when Das's supporters protested against the court denying bail to him following his arrest on sedition charges at Chittagong airport on Monday after he led protests calling for the protection of minorities in a largely Muslim nation. Similar protests by community members have also been held in other Bangladeshi cities like Dhaka, Rangpur, Khulna and Cox's Bazar after the arrest. Leaders of religious bodies across the border have condemned Das's arrest and the atrocities being committed against minorities since the de facto regime change in Bangladesh.
It is unbecoming of a Prime Minister of a neighboring country to arrest a spiritual leader. He is not taking weapons, he is not taking guns, he is caring for his people. He is just standing up for the rights and want government to hear the atrocities that is being happening on the minorities there.
We, Bangladesh Hindu Buddha Christian Unity Council, condemned the arrest of Chinmoy Krishna, and regarding this we have already given a statement in the newspapers. Mr. Chinmoy Krishna recently organized a Hindu community just to place demands of the minority peoples. We demand his immediate release from the custody. It is and his detention. It is illegal.
Reacting sharply to the developments, India's Ministry of External Affairs expressed deep concern over Chinmoy Krishnadas's arrest and denial of bail. It said the arrest follows multiple attacks on Hindus and other minorities by extremist elements in Bangladesh. The MEA added that it's unfortunate that while the perpetrators of these incidents remain at large, charges have been pressed against a religious leader presenting legitimate demands through peaceful gatherings. It also said that it notes with concern the attacks on minorities protesting peacefully against Das's arrest. In India, a protest was also held in Kolkata by BJP leaders outside the West Bengal State Assembly premises over Das's arrest. It was also demanded that Bangladesh's interim Prime Minister, Muhammad Yunus, should put in his papers.
Yunus should step down. Illegal government. World community should come together. All Hindus should come on the road. It's a not only the protest, it's a fight of our survival in Bangladeshi Hindus.
The Bangladesh government is yet to respond to the outrage and concern which has been expressed by different quarters on this matter. It's reported that Bangladesh's minority Hindus, who make up around 8% of the 170 million Bangladesh population, have faced over 200 attacks in 50-odd districts since the fall of Sheikh Hasina's Awami League government on the 5th of August this year. Gautam Roy, DD India. So a terrible situation there in Bangladesh as well, involving the fate of the minorities. They're a mere 8% in that country. Veena Sikri, former Indian High Commissioner to Bangladesh, joins us now. Ms. Sikri, what do you make of the situation in Bangladesh? Do you think that now it seems that all limits seem to be being crossed as far as atrocities against minorities are concerned?
Yes, truly, you're absolutely right, because I think the situation which began to deteriorate rapidly beginning on 5th August, the day that Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina left the country, it has really gone rapidly downhill now in the last 2 weeks. And we've seen in the last few days that absolutely peaceful meetings led by Chinmoy Krishndas Brahmachari Prabhu, who is also heading the Bangladesh Samilita Sanatani Jagran Jyoth. He held these meetings at the request of the Hindu community, and he really was making a very peaceful request. They have an 8-point demand to the government of Bangladesh, which is to have a separate law for the protection of minority, a separate ministry for the protection of minorities, telling them to take action against all the perpetrators who have committed acts of absolute atrocities against the Hindu minorities and Buddhist minorities beginning 5th of August and continuing up till today. And he's also, requested that urgent action be taken against those.
But instead of listening to those demands, the kitchen seems to have been thrown by the Bangladeshi government at this religious leader.
Yes, exactly. Now, what has happened is that the meetings he was leading were being prevented from being held. The latest one in Rangpur over the weekend, the permission was denied, and the meeting was eventually held 5 kilometers outside the city. Even then, thousands of people came. Now, despite all that, there was attack on the meetings. People got hurt, and instead of helping the people who had been hurt, they have arrested the leader of the meeting and charged him with sedition. And of course, it has caused a tremendous amount of outrage, because then he was taken to Chittagong for the hearing. And today in Chittagong, as you're showing in the visuals, the Hindu community collected at the courts. And in the courts, there was such a hullabaloo. The police thrashed the Hindu community. And in the melee, I think a Muslim lawyer died. And that also is being blamed on the Hindu community, whereas they've clearly said they had nothing to do with it. And I must tell you that Indian government is extremely upset, and they've issued a notice saying, saying they're extremely concerned and calling for the rights of the Hindus and other minorities in Bangladesh, and saying how this is a really causing deep concern to us. And now the government of Bangladesh a few minutes ago has put out a note of its own and called this a matter of the internal matter of Bangladesh, and saying that the people of Bangladesh enjoy complete communal harmony. I mean, this is absolutely, it couldn't be further from the truth, because we do know, and everybody knows, the world community knows, our Prime Minister has spoken about it with Professor Mohammed Yunus. Our Prime Minister has spoken about it from the ramparts of Red Fort on 15th August. He has spoken about it with President Biden. We know that President-elect Trump, he has issued such a strong note on this subject, talking about the chaos in Bangladesh, talking about the attacks, barbaric attacks on the minorities in Bangladesh. And after all this, the Bangladesh government's note put out this evening, a few minutes ago, says that there is complete communal harmony and there is no problem, and that Chinmoy Prabhu has been arrested on specific charges. And to actually add salt to the wounds, we have a statement directly from Professor Mohammed Yunus, who has expressed concern only about the killing of the Muslim lawyer. He has not expressed concern about anything else. And
why do you think is the Bangladeshi government and Professor Yunus, who's a Nobel laureate, Nobel Peace Laureate, after coming into this sort of position? Why is the government and he living in this sort of a parallel universe?
I think it is just because I think Professor Muhammad Yunus does not seem to be in control of the situation in Bangladesh. He really does not seem to have maybe not even the direct knowledge of what is happening in Bangladesh.
But then he should quit.
He is really being controlled by the Jamaat-e-Islami. It is the ultra-conservative Jamaat-e-Islami and even the Hizb ut-Tahrir. These Islamist groups are actually controlling what the Professor Muhammad Yunus is doing. And this is a matter of great concern because, Professor Muhammad Yunus has a great global reputation, etc., and he would have been expected to bring the situation under control. And in the early days, he did express concern about what was happening in Bangladesh.
Isn't he conscious of the fact that if the situation lingers on, more and more people keep being oppressed and people die? In Bangladesh, his own reputation, which he has built assiduously over the years, over decades, will be completely besmirched.
Absolutely. I think he should be very concerned about that. And today what he has done by just expressing concern about the death of the Muslim lawyer is more telling than anything else about his concern for the minorities in Bangladesh. And I think that, this is a matter which seems to be going from bad to worse every day, because we've had people in West Bengal talking about it. The Ramakrishna Mission and the ISKCON are the two organizations in Bangladesh who have been completely selfless for more than 50 years, right from 1971 and before that, but certainly during the Liberation War in 1971. These were the two organizations, the Ramakrishna Mission and the ISKCON, which helped each and every individual, regardless of race or religion or community. They gave them food, they gave them shelter, they gave them clothes, and they were the ones, at the forefront of bringing about, a secular democratic Bangladesh. And now these very institutions are being completely attacked, and they are being, accused of all kinds of incorrect accusations, and the attacks on the Hindu minorities, the attacks in Khagrachari, the attacks in Chittagong, the attacks at the temple, this is not being referred to at all. And I think what is happening, as you can see from the visuals you are showing, that all the participants in these demonstrations are the young people. These are the young Hindus, the young Buddhists, the young Christians. These are the members of the younger generation of the minorities. And these are the ones who have said that we have taken a stand. We want to stay here. This is our country. We want our rights. So this is when you've seen in all these visuals how it is the younger generation that has taken a stand. Maybe yes. Older generation would have upped and left by now, but this younger generation is taking a stand and maybe irking them. Yeah.
Ms. Sikri, where does this leave India and Bangladesh relations? We're neighbors. We've had enjoyed good relations over at least the last 10 years, if not more. We've had a situation where Sheikh Hasina is now in our country. She had to leave her country very suddenly because of the kind of situation that developed there, that people were marching to her home, and had she stayed there, God knows what her fate would have been. So where does this sort of situation now leave India and Bangladesh relations?
Well, I think the strain is evident now because, I think from the very beginning, Government of India has said that we are prepared to deal with the interim government, we are prepared to talk to them, we attach the highest importance to India-Bangladesh relations. And in keeping with this statement that the Government of India had made right in the very beginning, we have had a very moderate, even keel approach to all the incidents in Bangladesh. Certainly, as far as the Hindu minorities and the Buddhist minorities and the Christian minorities are concerned, we have expressed ourselves unequivocally, and I think this was recognized by all concerned. We've seen even President-elect Trump making such a strong statement. But what has happened now in the last 2 days, in the last 48 hours, with the meeting in Rangapur being attacked, and then the leader being arrested on charges of sedition, and then today in the Chittagong court, his supporters who came to meet him, they were thrashed by the police and many were injured. And it's just that one Muslim lawyer, the Hindus are being blamed that he was killed because of their attack, but all the Hindu groups, even in Calcutta, even in West Bengal, even in Bangladesh, they've all said we had nothing to do with it. And but this has become the one issue, and the CA in his statement only speaks about this one person, not about all the distress and all the losses and all the terrible things that have been happening to the minorities in Bangladesh for the last 3 months, there's not a reference to that at all. So I do think that it will give great pause to the government of India to think about how to tackle the situation. And
right, I wanted to ask you about that, because so far the Indian government has issued advisories and statements, very stern ones, but are there more tools at the Indian government's disposal to ensure that Bangladesh listens? Apart from there's of course President Trump, once he comes to office, would have his own means of persuasion.
Yes, I think that, very in keeping with the interests of maintaining India-Bangladesh relations on an even keel, even some discussions have been organized, consultations are possibly being arranged between India and Bangladesh. But the events of the last 48 hours, the note put out by our government earlier today and the reply by the Bangladesh government later, just now, a few minutes ago, these have certainly, been very difficult, because the response of the Bangladesh government has been absolutely unbelievable. That they do not want to recognize, that the world recognizes what has been happening to the minorities in Bangladesh over the last 3 months. It's not India who is saying this, the world is saying it. We've seen how in America, the Indian Americans and the Bangladesh Americans, they've been gathered over the weekend in the hundreds and have called this out and said, look what is happening. The Islamists in Bangladesh are, are hurting the interests of the minority communities. All this is happening the world over, but the government of Bangladesh, the interim government, seems to be totally living in an unreal world, because their note verbal put out a few minutes ago does not at all recognize that anything has happened, and they're talking about complete communal harmony, nothing is happening, these own reasons, and they're charging the Chinmay Prabhu with sedition. Which is an absolute unheard of charge. Even, I think, under Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, I don't think there was a single case where there was a sedition charge.
Yes, and is there more that can be done?
I think that this has to be brought to the attention of the world in a much bigger way. And I think that this is happening. And I would like to say that combined with the attack on the minorities in Bangladesh is the attack on the journalists, on the media. And I think this is something also that we must take cognizance of, because the international community has put out today some detailed stories about how it has never been seen that even in the last 3 months, hundreds of journalists have been removed from their jobs, have been taken away, have been fired, have been put in jail, have been charged with murder. Even the most senior and best-known journalists, and even Prasar Bharati and Daily Star have been out, and it's an unreal situation. It's completely out of control, and it's really a very worrisome situation. It's almost like a kind of a clash within Bangladesh between different groups and personality, like a civil war situation being built up.
Yes, extremely concerning situation right now in Bangladesh. We'll have to wait and see if the situation improves, although it is not showing any signs from any end, particularly the Bangladeshi government, of improving. One can only hope that it does. But for the moment, thank you for joining us, Veena Sikri. And still to come on DD India NewsHour. Article Suhas Jamwale, Director of Article 370, discusses Kashmir's changing landscape and opportunities on Constitutional Day in an exclusive chat with DD India.
Lights, camera, iffy. The stage is all set. Straight from the scenic Goa, we get you all the latest and live action from the 55th edition of International Film Festival of India, only on DD India.
Complex issues, hidden agendas, twists and turns, strategic games. We think all dots are linked. We just need to connect them. Join me every week as I connect the dots to unravel hidden designs in statecraft, mysteries, and decode issues that matter to you. Watch Connecting the Dots with me at these times on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, India's Union Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports, Dr. Mansukh Mandavia, on Tuesday emphasized the pivotal role of youth in realizing the vision of a developed India during an engaging event with the students at Viksit Bharat Ambassador Yuva Connect program in New Delhi. DD India's Abhishek Prasad with more.
India's Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports on Tuesday organized the Delhi chapter of Viksit Bharat Ambassador Yuva Connect program at Delhi University's Kamala Nehru College. The program aims to mobilize youth to contribute actively towards achieving the vision of a developed India by 2047. Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports Dr. Mansukh Mandavia engaged with the students and emphasized the pivotal role of youth in driving the country's progress and development.
देश आगे बढ़ रहा है, नया भारत का निर्माण हो रहा है। ये नया भारत, भविष्य का भारत, उसके लिए यूथ के द्वारा हमें कई इनिशिएटिव लेना है। दोस्तों, मैं कई समय से प्रयास कर रहा हूं। देश को बदलना है तो यूथ को बदलना होगा, यूथ को विजन देना होगा, यूथ को एम्बिशियस बनाना होगा, यूथ में कॉन्फिडेंस बिल्ड करना होगा।
Dr. Mandavia also highlighted Prime Minister Narendra Modi's goal for India to become a developed nation by its 100th year of independence in 2047.
विकसित भारत बनाने के लिए मोदी जी ने, जब हम अमृत महोत्सव वर्ष मना रहे थे, इस वर्ष के 15 अगस्त यानी कि इंडिपेंडेंस डे के अवसर पर रेड फोर्ट से कहा कि हमें आज आजादी का 75 इयर्स मना रहे हैं, लेकिन जब हम देश की आजादी का शताब्दी वर्ष मनाए यानी कि 2047, तब हमें विकसित भारत बनना है, डेवलप्ड कंट्री बनना है।
The program specifically targets young Indians to mobilize their energy and potential towards nation building.
Particularly this step युवा पे जो focused है, that way the all efforts are directed towards युवा. So by 2047 जो हमारा youth है, we'll be at our middle age and we'll be at our peak productivity. So it's a great initiative. We've also learned about all these initiatives by government in our back classes and stuff. So it's very informative. अभी वाले session में भी we got to know about My Bharat.
The Viksit Bharat Ambassador Yuva Connect program is a pioneering initiative by the Indian government which is designed to empower young Indians to become catalysts for change. The Indian government led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi is continuously working towards achieving the goal of a developed India by 2047. The government is continuously encouraging youth to participate in various developmental activities and take leadership roles in future. With cameraman Rahul Chopra, this is Abhishek Prasad for DD India.
Let's now take a look at some other stories making news around the country. Heavy rainfall led to waterlogging in Tamil Nadu's capital Chennai on Tuesday. The IMD has issued a yellow alert in Chennai from Wednesday till Friday. Schools and colleges will be closed in several regions of the South Indian state. The third edition of India-Tanzania Joint Defence Cooperation meeting took place in Goa on Tuesday. The meeting focused on enhanced trading partnerships, maritime and defence industry collaboration between the two countries. Preparations are underway in Uttar Pradesh's Prayagraj for Mahakumbh 2025. Mahakumbh Mela is scheduled to begin on the 13th of January next year to the 26th of February. The Kumbh Mela takes place in India's northern state of Uttar Pradesh every 12 years. The 12th edition of the International Tourism Mart began in Assam's Kaziranga on Tuesday. Organized by India's Ministry of Tourism, the event highlights tourism potential of the northeastern state. A dazzling opening ceremony marked the commencement of the 3rd Global Media Congress at the Abu Dhabi National Exhibition Centre on Tuesday. The event, themed Shaping Future Media, aims to create a roadmap for innovative media context for the exploration of industry trends and opportunities. A key focus of this year's Media Congress event is on the transformative impact of artificial intelligence on the news industry, alongside discussions about evolving business models and importance of diversity and inclusion in media production. And director of film Article 370, Aditya Suhas Jambale, talks about the land of opportunities and the changing landscape of Kashmir on India's Constitution Day in an exclusive conversation with DD India's Deepika. Listen in.
It's also about, content of national importance, and right now we have with us National Award winner Aditya Suhas Jambale. Thank you so much for talking exclusively to DD India. How did you take up that challenge when you were deciding the content on it, when you were delivering it to the people, and also you have to decide a set of audience in your mind?
If your research is very factual and it's really fact-checked everywhere, and you don't have discrepancies or problems there, then I think you're when you start you start playing the ball literally when you go on the shoot, you're much more, you can do it with freedom because you know the homework is completely done and we know exactly what we have done.
Aditya, Kashmir is witnessing many firsts. During your shooting, how was your time? Was it comfortable? Did you face any sort of challenges, or the time is really changing when we talk about Kashmir?
100% it is changing. 100%. I think when I was shooting it, I think I just heard somewhere after we were wrapped the next 12 months, around 60 projects were actually going to happen in Kashmir in a year. It's a big number. 60 films being shot in Kashmir is a big number. Right now, all the producers want to really go there because it's beautiful. I mean, you place camera anywhere, you'll get an amazing frame out of it.
So there you heard Aditya who's talking about that, how there is a lot of scope in Kashmir when you talk about business of cinema, shooting the cinematic landscapes there and a lot more. With camera person Ajit, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Goa.
And that's all we have in this edition of DD India NewsHour. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. You can scan the QR code on the screen and download the app right away. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks right here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India NewsHour.